Maligayang pagdating dito sa Maputing Cooking. I'm Chris Urbano, and today we're talking about one of the classic Filipino Sawsawan or dipping sauces that you find commonly in the Philippines. You start your Toyomansi just by putting in 1 or 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to use a garlic crusher today, but you can also just crush your garlic with a knife, flatten it out, and then chop it really finely if you don't have one of these. Okay. Make sure you scrape off as much of that crushed garlic as you can. Okay, now next we're going to squeeze out calamansi. I always do the calamansi before the soy because you don't know how many pieces of calamansi you have, so I squeeze that out first, and then you can adjust the soy sauce, which you typically have a whole bottle or a whole gallon of, right? You can add that later when you know how much calamansi juice you got from your calamansi limes. And typically the easiest with calamansi, they have a lot of seeds inside them, so what you want to do is just squeeze them all somewhere first, like this. And then I find the easiest thing is to use a tea strainer or similar to just tip that straight into your mixing bowl. Okay, so I'm going to use some of the calamansi juice that I squeezed earlier, and for mixing up this batch, which would be good for about 6 to 8 people, I want to end up with about half a cup of sawsawan here. So I'm going to use probably about a quarter cup of calamansi juice. And normally for me, I would have just a little bit more soy sauce than calamansi. So usually the ratio I do for this sauce is 4 parts of soy to 3 parts of calamansi. So check my math. Let me know if I got that right. Leave a comment below. With your soy sauce, look, there's a bunch of brands you can get. I'm not going to recommend any particular one today. There's a bunch I could advise not to get, but what I will tell you to do is look at the ingredients list of your soy sauce, and if you can't see the words soybeans in the ingredients, buy something else. This is really important. There's a lot of crappy products out there now, and if you want the real flavor here, you've got to use a soy sauce that actually has fermented soybean extract in there somewhere. So I've got a premium soy sauce here that I'm going to use, and I'll just measure that I've got about 1/3 of a cup. And then the last step to this is really simple one. We add our chilies in. So 2 options for this. So obviously you can vary the number of chilies you put in. And if you prefer it a little bit more mild, you can just bruise your chilies with the back of a knife. So you just sort of hit them like that. And you can drop those straight into your Toyomansi whole for them to infuse. And visually that looks really nice, right? Of course, if you want it more spicy, then you want to get your seeds really mixing in there as well, in which case, I would, after bruising the chili, just run the knife through it and put it straight into the Toyomansi. Okay, so best part of my job is trying grilled meats at 9 o'clock in the morning when we start shooting this program. I'm not really feeling like lunch just yet, but I got to taste this for this show. So I'm going to put a little bit of my sawsawan here onto some fried bangus, which is a very popular fish here in the Philippines, often eaten for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And I've made sure I've got some of the crispy fish there as well. So mine's a little bit spicy, which I like. Most of you who watch this show would know I'm a Bicol food lover. I love spicy food. You can do this with less chili or no chili at all. Mine really had a bit of bite when I tried it just now. The thing that's happening here is you've got this sort of like crispy, fatty parts of the milk fish, and if you eat that on its own, it gets just a bit too overpowering. Like you feel sort of sobra sa mga fats, if you like, and fried. So the calamansi just really cuts through all of that, makes you want to eat a lot more of the fish, for better or for worse. I could probably finish the whole thing with this Toyomansi with it. The salt, the garlic, just adds to the savoriness of the fish as well. Enjoy making some calamansi toyo sawsawan at home, or Toyomansi.
Sa ulo ng mga nagbabagang balita, si Maputing Cooking at Masflex ay mamamigay ng mga gamit ng kusina. Alamin kung paano makasali dito at baka ikaw ang susunod mananalo. Ako po si Chris Urbano, live sa computer mo.
today we're bringing you another classic Filipino Sawsawan. This one is Toyo, Suka at Sili. Toyo being soy sauce, Suka being vinegar, and Sili being, of course, the red chilies that you see here in front of me. Now, this is a sauce that's typically paired with fatty pork dishes, so things like grilled liempo or pork belly, and with pork barbecue on a stick. So you know what, it's merienda time in the Philippines, afternoon tea on the streets, all the grills fire up, everybody's cooking their pork barbecue with that delicious piece of fat at the end, and you dip that in your Suka Toyo Sili sauce, and it's absolutely delicious. So let's get into this recipe and let me know what you think of this one. Okay, so I'm going to start off just by crushing some garlic. Of course, if you don't have a garlic crusher on hand, just smash it with the flat side of the knife and dice it finely. But this will save me a bit of time, and all of you watching at home, save you some time too. So I'm going to go with 2 pieces. The other slight difference with this sauce is that it will normally have a bit of red onion in it. So you want to dice that fairly finely, like has been done here. And maybe a tablespoon or 2 of diced red onions. This also adds great color to the sauce, so it just looks visually fantastic when you're serving it with a grilled meat that often looks a little bit bland. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of sugar, so maybe 1 to 2 teaspoons. Always better to add less and then taste your sauce, and if it needs a little more, you can always add it later. I have some pepper here. I'm going to put in a few pinches of pepper. I've got all of these dry ingredients now. Now I'm going to put in my soy and vinegar. And when making this Sawsawan, I normally like to put them in a 1-to-1 ratio. So to make half a cup, that means about a 1/4 cup of soy and a 1/4 cup of vinegar. And then with the vinegar, I mean, here in the Philippines, we normally use a cane vinegar as a first choice. You can use any vinegar for this sauce, of course, but we're using a cane today, which has a nice brownish color to it. There's a 1/4 cup of that. When it comes to your vinegar, I actually like to pre-mix it because when you look at what I've put in here, it's effectively a spiced vinegar, right, that goes into this Sawsawan. And a way to save yourself some time is if you've actually pre-mixed it, this doesn't go off for a very, very, very long time, right? So I like to make vinegar at home, and I'll just show this to you on the close-up when I mix that up. And what you'll see I've got floating in here is garlic, onions, whole chilies, and I like to put a bit of pepino or cucumber into my own spiced vinegar as a point of difference. And if you use this, you can actually, you probably don't need to use the fresh onion and sibuyas because it's already infused in your spiced vinegar. But today I'm showing you how to make it from scratch if you're just doing this at home and, don't feel like becoming a vinegar manufacturer yourself just yet. And then the last ingredient that we'll put into this is some chili. Again, like you guys know, I love my spicy foods, so I will put in quite a lot of chili, whereas you might just want to put in 1 piece for color. So I'm just going to hit this on the back and pop that straight in. And of course, if you like it spicier, you can actually, after bruising it, just chop it into small pieces. That will break all of the seeds out and have those floating around in the sauce, which will make it a more intense, spicy feel when it hits your mouth and your taste buds. Here we are, I'm ready to try this, and I've got a piece of liempo or pork belly here, which is one of the Filipino favorite foods to eat, particularly when they've had a few drinks. Late at night you get your liempo, it's been chopped up with a cleaver, you're having it with beers, you're dipping it in your vinegar. So I'll get a little bit of this on my spoon and ladle it over some of this delicious pork liempo here. Okay, so when I had it with the piece of fat, it really exploded. Like, don't do this too much at home. You will start to look like a pork liempo yourself if this is like all you eat, but sometimes you just gotta enjoy your life. That was absolutely delicious. When the fat there mixes with the vinegar, they just balance each other perfectly. So try this one out at home. Remember the shortcuts that I mentioned. You can use your own spiced vinegar that you've pre-made, and that will make this even faster, because you could almost just mix this straight up with your soy sauce and some chilies and a bit of sugar, and you've got the whole recipe in one go. If you do make it from scratch like this, at least 10 minutes for the onion, the chilies and the garlic to infuse with the sauce. If you want to learn more about Filipino food, check out our blog at maputingcooking.com. You can join a newsletter there, hear about all of our episodes that are coming out, get new recipes every week or two delivered to your inbox. And of course, you can help me take Filipino food global, which is one of the most exciting cuisines anywhere in the world. And I think its time is coming. So if you'd love learning about Filipino food, share the videos, leave a comment below about what you'd like me to cook next, and I'll see you next time. I'm Chris Urbano. Bye-bye.